Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Naveen Labana, and I welcome you all to our new episode of Agrosaw Talks. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot control everything in your life, but you can control what you put in your body and what you consume. It is our responsibility to consume healthy, clean, and quality produce. In order to achieve this quality produce, one company is striving very hard, and I'm talking about Wyma. Wyma is a New Zealand-based company which makes post-harvest machineries for horticulture producers. Today I'm very happy to host our new guest and expert in horticulture post-harvest machineries, Mr. Richard Fry from Wyma, New Zealand. Before I welcome our new guest, I would request our viewers to please follow, share, like, and subscribe our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Richard.
Hi, Naveen. Thanks very much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for some time, the opportunity to speak with you and to talk to your listeners about Wyma. It's been something I've been looking forward to. I'd like to start, if I may, talking a little bit about myself. I've been with Wyma for 18 months now. I joined Wyma from a number of other engineering companies, and my background is really in working between our engineering teams and the customers themselves. I guess I speak a little bit of customer and a little bit of engineer. So that's really where I come in. And I've had the opportunity to learn a lot about Wyma. And you've called me an expert. I think that's pretty generous, but I think I know a little bit about what it is we do now. So I'm really looking forward to sharing a little bit about our story today.
Great. And I'm right in calling you an expert because I have seen your work, Richard. I have seen what you have done on social media. I've seen the way you're handling the marketing department in Wyma. It's fantastic, fabulous. And I'm sure that today you're going to give a lot of information to my viewers and about machineries due to your technical background. I'm sure it's going to be a fruitful and very nice conversation we're going to have. Okay, so let us start from, let us directly come to the question. And so let us start from a very basic one. Let us start from, let my viewers understand a bit more about, what Wyma does, what Wyma is all about. Please help us understand that.
Yeah, no problem. So Wyma develops and manufactures post-harvest systems, specifically for root vegetables. Although we do support a wide range of other vegetables and also some nut varieties as well. Our whole philosophy is around ensuring that our customers, growers, the producers can get the very best from each and every harvest, and in a number of ways. Firstly, before we develop a solution, we go to great lengths to understand the requirements our customers have and their constraints as well.
Right.
What type of, is it clay-based? Is it made up of sand? We also understand what type of crops that performs season after season, and we feel that's very important. We do know there are some cheaper alternatives, but we know that in many cases those cheaper alternatives may have higher ongoing costs. To put it simply, we stand behind our equipment and we know that it lasts the distance. That's a little bit about.
Great, and it is really great to understand this, Richard. That you strive really hard. Wyma strives really hard to understand the kind of what is the requirement of the end consumer, and especially who wants to purchase your machine and use those machines. I'm sure that the kind of quality which you're giving through your machines are going to help in rather achieving whatever the kind of fine produce the processor wants to achieve. Great. So let us try to dig in a little deeper, Richard. So would you like to tell us a bit about any particular product or the solutions which which Wyma is kind of well known for?
Yeah, sure, Naveen. That's a pretty simple response from me. Our Veggie Polisher is that product. We're very well known for that. Wyma developed the original Veggie Polisher in the early 1990s, so coming up 30 years ago. And this technology's been what we've become known for. For those of your viewers and listeners who aren't familiar with the product, a Veggie Polisher is a large rotating drum with counter-rotating brushes. Produce is fed in, and the surface debris is cleaned and polished. More than just a wash, it treats the produce to a retail standard. Yeah, and most supermarkets and carrots, you'll find that this treatment is considered superior, and we find that the retailers value this as a premium product. And why? Because it's easy for them to market and sell clean produce. It looks and feels great, and we find that growers and packers have had a great success implementing Veggie Polishers. So that's really the basis of where we've come from as Wyma. Since then, we've gone on to develop a whole range of different size machines. We do a very small machine right up, sort of 5 ton an hour machine, right up to sort of 35 ton an hour machines for large processing lines. So yeah, all sorts. And we customize each machine to suit the soil type. The foundation of Wyma really is Veggie polishing.
Great. And it is very evident, and I would say that I have personally seen the Veggie Polisher being used in India also, and Agrosaw has being a partner of Wyma. We have helped a couple of our clients to get those Veggie Polishers, and the results are fabulous. Richard, here I like to highlight kind of the high point of what you are already saying is that the Veggie Polisher, especially the Wyma, other machines also, they use the water in a very optimum manner. Judiciously they use the water. You call it recycling of water as well. We like to understand this part a little more. Because you're a global company. I'm sure that you are aware that globally in many countries, water is a huge problem, and in India, especially, I'm sure that everybody will second my thought that it is a huge problem. Please explain about this benefit a little more.
Yeah, no worries. So water is precious. Water is required in every stage of the growing cycle, from right out in the field right through. And in preparing vegetables, absolutely, we use the water to lubricate the polishing and washing process. It's very important to Wyma not to waste any resource. We want to make sure that we don't waste produce that could be otherwise sold to the retailer and then on-sold to consumers. We also don't want to waste the water that goes into that process. So what we do is we have a water recycling system that we sell with our polishers that catches the water that underneath the drum, and then we can filter that water and then reuse that water in the washing process. No point waste that water. We can take the debris out of it. It can pass it through some filters, and we can reuse that water to wash the vegetables rather than drawing it from the original source, using it once and then disposing of it. We can actually hold that water and use it, for a week at a time, depending on the system. Ultimately, we'd like to get to what we call a closed loop system, so that you put a certain amount of water in and you can continue to use that water indefinitely. No system is perfect. We're not there yet, but we certainly significantly reduce the amount of fresh water that's required into a processing line. We can hold quite a lot of water and we can keep reusing it. As you point out, around the world, water is becoming increasingly precious. We sell to Australia, where they have significant water shortages. Obviously, Africa has significant water issues in places. Other places have too much water, and the same, I'm sure, in India as well. Water is precious, and water is life. So we want to make sure we take care of it.
Yes, you're bang on. You're totally right, and it's really a really fabulous thing, which I would say, recycling of water and using it again and again. But I have another question here, Richard. So once you use a fresh water, right, and once it's been used to wash, let's suppose, let's take an example of carrot. So we are washing carrot first, right? So once the water has been used, and I'm sure that while we're filtering out the water, we might filter the dust particles, the larger particles. But what about the chemicals? Because I'm sure that once we use the water, probably there are a couple of chemicals also which comes into the water, because we are using a lot of fertilizers, we are using other chemicals, weedicides kind of fertilizers also. So I mean, those chemicals goes into water. Do you filter, rather you give provision to filter those things as well?
Yes. So I mean, I'll give you the engineering answer. Yes, but it depends. So engineer would always say yes and then qualify, and I'm the same. So, and this is all to do with cost. So we have filters ranging from large mesh filters that take out debris right through to more sophisticated filters that can filter down at microbe and chemical level. They're not perfect, but the more filtration you apply, the more costly it is. But yes, that is possible. Obviously, preventing chemicals getting into the system at the start is the key, but we do have that. We are looking at some new technology which isn't available yet, that will do that, which will turn the water into potable water, into drinkable water. But that's a little bit further down the track at the moment. But we're pretty excited about that. I can't really say too much more.
Wow, great. I'm sure that you'll come up with that solution very soon, and it would be kind of provided to the clients as well. One last part to this question, then I'll move to the next part. So how much is the difference in cost, if we use a recycling plant together with a machine? So you can give up kind of percentage wise, how much would be kind of increase in the cost of the complete solution if we use a recycling plant side by side?
So I'm afraid you've caught me here. I can't really comment on that. The specific build of the machine is tailored specifically to the customer's requirements. If a customer isn't paying for water, then of course that changes the equation significantly. It depends on the soil type that will then drive the brush configuration and how much debris is coming in. For example, carrots grown in sandy soil, they're very simple to clean, and very little water is used. Obviously, thick clay, mud, we need a lot more. So it's unfortunately, I can't give you it's 20% cheaper. It's 100% cheap. I can't give you that. But we do our best, and obviously we want to make sure that we can help our customers out.
Right, great. But I'm sure that it is affordable and it's a great solution. Okay, so let us move to the next part, Richard. So it's a very kind of direct one. What ticks? I'll say what makes Wyma ticks. That is something I want to understand. You have been telling about the machines. You have always spoken about Veggie Polisher, but what makes Wyma ticks? If you could help us understand that.
No problem. I think I've probably given a few hints at that. Wyma's all about getting the best from every harvest. That's our brand promise, and we see that on our literature. But it goes deeper. So we recognize it is equally a precious resource, and it takes a lot of time, energy, and resource to grow and prepare food. And your viewers and listeners will be well aware of this. And for us, food waste is a massive problem as well. In some countries, as much of a third of all food grown is disposed of as waste. And in a world that needs to make the most of its resources, this is a very poor outcome. So what I'm saying is that eliminating this food waste, eliminating waste in our food chain is really what drives a lot of what we do. By reducing food waste, we can reduce the land that we need to be cultivated. We can reduce the water we use, obviously, the fertilizer, and the time. Equally, then effectively that makes the land more profitable. We can get greater yield from having that, and that's really where Wyma comes into play: reducing waste and increasing yield. And over 15% specifically of food waste occurs between the field and the pack house, and that's data. We think with better handling solutions, we can reduce that, make the farmer more profitable, and also reduce the impact on the world. And it's great to be able to work for an organisation that does that. You know, we're not only helping the environment and helping make the best of the resources, financial outcome as well. So by investing properly, you can have a return commercially and environmentally, and that's really what gets us up out of bed in the morning and gets us to work excited.
I'm sure, and rightly said, Richard, that once you reduce the waste, I'm sure the yield increases and the profit also increases. What I want to understand from you, Richard, here is that waste is one part, right? Let us take an example. We are talking about carrots here. So there's one part which comes under waste category, and then there is a graded category also, which will have one or two grades, right? Or any number of grades, right? So I want to understand one is that regarding these grades, and secondly about this waste. Waste produce is it depends upon country to country, and I believe somewhere produce to produce or vegetable to vegetable, right? So just given kind of brief understanding about that too, I'm sure that is going to be a huge information for our viewers.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. So it does depend on not just country to country, but farm to farm and customer to customer, as we've found. But grading is really important, and accurate grading is very important. From a retail perspective and from a consumer perspective, value is derived from uniformity. Consumers are continually presented with standardized carrots that they're familiar with. They'll trust that carrot, prepared to pay more for that consistency, which is great. So that's great for the retailer and fantastic for the producer, that they can demand a better price for their produce. So what's really important then is to grade effectively, and we grade obviously in size, but also for quality. So there's different stages your viewers will be familiar with on the grading line. So we can grade coarsely just by channeling carrots into different size groupings. Obviously we can, if they're the wrong shape or deformed, then they can go straight to waste. And then we can take larger carrots and then grade them manually after that. And in India, I think that's a great way of quickly classifying carrots into a broad grade or board size, and then you can visually inspect for the carrots that don't meet visual inspection grades. And there are other technologies, optical technologies, that can also grade carrots, standards for that. But I think most manual grading after they've been graded mechanically is the way to go for color and rot and other bits and pieces. The great thing about this is that you get the very best value out of the whole produce range. Importantly, you can't grade effectively unless you've cleaned and polished beforehand. Otherwise, you're trying to grade dirty produce. Obviously, is not advisable, and certainly will introduce errors. So, clean it, polish it, grade it.
Right. You're correct. In fact, I mean, it comes in that sequence. Firstly, you have to clean it, then you have to grade it, and then polish it. Of course, that is a sequence. So let me go a little bit deeper. So let me take an example of two grades. So there's one grade which is a superior quality, and there's another grade could be the second grade. I believe somewhere, in fact, it's been proven fact that both of the grades have similar nutritional value, right?
Oh,
I believe the perceived value could be different, but the nutritional value is more or less same, right? What do you have to talk about that? The two grades have same nutritional value, but the perceived values are different.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've come from the same field. They've had the same. They must be nutritionally equal. Carrot that is perfect looking like a carrot must be better. What we can do, and we've had success before, is to polish up carrots with a little bit more aggressive polish, and that often lift that carrot up, and that's a huge advantage. So if you've got some carrots that don't quite meet your premium grade, they may have some slight discoloration or the might be a little deeper and the dirt might be a little bit harder to remove. A little harder polish can sometimes bring that produce up. And again, I can't give you a solution to everyone's problems. We have to work with you to understand what's causing those second grades. But the whole idea is to lift all of that up to premium. If a producer can have most of their produce at premium grade, then everybody's happy.
Yes, you're right. You're right. See, why I'm lingering around this question is because this is something which is a very important part of the complete solution. Because there is the end part, and I'm sure that whosoever, rather the processor who is working on it, would like to understand. Rather would like to have a clarity upon it that what kind of final produce he's getting and are the grades how he can use the grades. I believe the second grade which you're talking about does have a different market probably, and the first grade has also a different market.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So both of the grades goes to a market, but you get a premium price for the first grade, a better polished one which you're saying. Here I have another question to you, and it's been asked to us by many of the clients who actually want to put up a new plant. So by polish, what do we mean? See, I like to take two examples here. One is apple, right? So polishing in apple is putting up something on the apple, which is edible, of course. It could be a wax or something, right? There is a totally different scenario. But what does polishing a carrot means? We want to understand that. Is it same or is it different?
No, it's completely different. Apples are very easy, says me. They come from the tree ready to go. And polishing application in the fruit sector is to preserve them for longer. The polishing phase is the same for carrots, that we're trying to preserve them for longer, and also for potatoes. But what we're doing is we're removing all of that dirt that hides in the surface of the skin.
Right.
Has grooves around it where it grows, and it's got where the hairs come out of the carrot, and the surface of the carrot is rough. What we're trying to do is get the brushes in there and cleaning all that dirt and foreign material out, because if that stays in there, if you go and then cool your carrots or pack them, and you haven't removed all that debris, if you haven't taken out all those foreign contaminants, then you risk that produce spoiling much faster than it would otherwise. So we really want to try and clean and brush and polish all of that out. There's washing, there's polishing, which is the next thing you'd probably expect to just have if they're at home. If you bought a polished carrot, I mean, you're not going to get that any cleaner. That is as clean as it can get.
Yes. Right. So just one line summary I would like to give here, that when we are polishing a carrot, actually we are removing a very fine layer from the carrot, and that gives it longevity, that gives it more quality. I believe that is what we are trying to achieve here. Great, Richard.
Absolutely.
So so let us move to the next question. You're a global company, Richard. Wyma is a very famous company, I would say, in many of the continents, right? We want to understand from you two perspectives. One is your global perspective. What are your global or business strategies globally? Vis-a-vis, what is your strategy for India?
Great, no problem. Yes, so Wyma's a global company. We're headquartered here in New Zealand, in Christchurch, but we operate now markets. We have a large presence in the UK and Europe. We have sales offices there, service technicians, and a little bit of manufacturing. And in our home region, we have our main facility here. In North America, we have a different strategy. We've engaged a channel partner there, a couple of channel partners. They represent us in the market, and they do that for manufacturing capability as well. Recently, we've obviously entered into a partnership with Agrosaw yourselves, and again we've applied that partnership model in India. The reasons for that are pretty clear. Agrosaw knows the market very, very well. We couldn't hope to penetrate that market on our own, and so partnering with it is the best strategy. And we're not Wyma's in this. We prove that in North America with successful local dealer who was very, very well known. Well, not a dealer, a local expert who was very well known. And so that's the strategy we're employing in India, and we're looking forward to that. We've already had some success, and we're now looking forward to that continuing. I think the reason why it's been so successful, post-harvest solutions for vegetables in particular, and we bring that to the time. What Agrosaw brings to the table is knowledge. I've already spoken how important it is to understand local conditions, so we can design and develop a solution that's fit for purpose. And without a partner like Agrosaw, that would be very, very difficult for us to achieve.
Right. And we are very happy, and Agrosaw is very happy to partner with Wyma. It's an international brand, and you have great solutions. So you're talking about business strategies, Richard, and your presence is in America. Your presence is in African continent as well as in Indian subcontinent as well. And we have given your solutions to our clients, and they are pretty very happy with the solutions. But I have a couple of questions to you, Richard. One is that different continents or different countries have different set of challenges, right? If I talk about New Zealand or Australia, the quality of a product or a machine probably will be different from what is a perceived quality of an Indian consumer, and I believe, or maybe an African consumer, especially consumer in a developing country. And why I'm saying so is because every client or every processor in a developing country has constraints. It could be a constraint money-wise, monetary constraint, or it could be a constraint maybe capacity-wise, or the farms could not be that bigger, So how are you meeting those challenges? What are your strategies to meet these two challenges, especially, I would say?
Yes, no, you're correct. There are challenges for every market and every type of consumer and customer. So customers in India and around the world have options for cheaper alternatives, and we have competitors in our space, and we acknowledge that. Yes, we're not trying to chase the cheapest solution. Wyma will work on developing what is best for a customer and best for the scenario that we've been employed for. And we've built that on a new strategy that we've employed maybe 4 years ago with a new engineering manager when he came and joined Wyma. We developed a whole of life approach for that. So we understand that equipment needs to be maintained and needs to be serviced, and we've now designed for that. So now the whole of life cost of a Wyma machine, we believe is pretty competitive when you put it side by side with a competitor. We like to say if you buy Wyma, you're only buying it once. With other alternatives, potentially you may have to replace that equipment more frequently. That being said, that's just one strategy for engaging, particularly in markets that are particularly price, particularly in a market such as India, where perhaps the cost of labour is not as competitive or not as expensive as say in Northern Europe or in North America. Integrate solutions with local partners. So I know Agrosaw makes a whole lot of equipment. We make some equipment. So they work together. They can work together to develop a solution that's not just effective commercially, but also that is the best out available for the produce. So we have to pick and mix where we decide to spend our money.
Yes, and there's a fantastic solution Wyma has come up with. Of course, partnering with a local player and giving a part solution, and maybe opening up a new facility in partner with a local partner, probably will give an edge over the competitors and will definitely reduce the price of the machine. It's a fantastic strategy. The second part of the question is, Richard, see, the farmers in India, or even the people who are actually processing, especially the farmers, the scenario of farmers are different in different countries. And what I want to highlight here is, Richard, that the produce of Indian farmer is much smaller, especially in horticulture, uh, than than a farmer in New Zealand or maybe in Australia, especially, or maybe in Canada, right? So how are you catering to that? Are you reducing the capacity of your machine? Because maybe a smaller farmer would like to have a smaller capacity machine, or a smaller solution, capacity solution. Uh, so what kind of solutions Wyma is thinking about for these kind of, to cater to these kind of clients?
Yeah, this is not a uniquely Indian problem. We have other markets that have the same requirements. So what we have is that we have a range of sizes. So we can cater from very small lines, and very specific pieces of equipment doing specific jobs, right through to the larger processing industrial. I guess the example I'll probably refer to, we do polishers, veggie polishers in a range of sizes, and we do a very nice little polisher that's sort of up to 5 tons an hour, but can easily process 1 or 2 tons an hour without too much difficulty and without too much investment. I think that's a great solution for an entry level farmer.
Right. And I would like to highlight the word which you have used, investment, because I believe Weima provide a quality wherein a client or a processor invest one time and reap the benefit for many years to come. There is a great benefit for anybody who is using Weima solutions. Uh, great. Cool. So, Richard, let me come to the next question now. So, though you have highlighted already in your previous answers a bit about this, but I like to understand, especially maybe separately, I would say. Uh, so, what do you see, as a greatest opportunity for Indian growers and packers? How what kind of opportunities do you see?
Naveen, I see huge opportunity uh, for particularly to large scale growers, to establish their operations as trusted brands, rather than just simply provide generic carrots, potatoes into the supply chain, but to package them as trusted premium brands. I think we've seen other high-end food producers do that with coffee and tea and dairy products in other parts of the world, and really establishing a brand. And I think that lifts the value from a commodity level to a premium brand level. And if a grower and a packer can put that together, brand loyalty to their brand. If it's a family run operation, they could brand it under their family name, and then we can see those carrots, greens carrots coming out, and then you begin to trust those brands and trust that, and then you'll get that brand loyalty. And then we can see good returns in that area. You need to invest in that by ensuring that you've got the processes, and I don't just mean equipment, but the systems in place and the quality and the checks in place to really lift your brand up from generic produce to a premium brand that you can then protect. We've seen this strategy be very successful with different in different parts of the world, and we've seen it go very well for some farmers. And the reason is they can guarantee that level of quality week after week, month after month, year after year, and you're going to get that quality, and that brings that loyalty with it. It's not we're not going to shift the value of the potato right up the value curve. It's not going to be saffron or but we can get better value for it. We can certainly increase its value if we can invest a little bit in preparing it for market.
Great. And the highlight of your answer is, you're helping family businesses to grow, which is very true. Which is very true, Richard. I somewhere believe it is very important for a country, for economy to grow. If we start empowering entrepreneurs, and if we empowering them at a smaller scale level, of course, we see a ripple effect happening. Great, and I really appreciate the kind of line of thought which Wyma is having. Great. Okay, so I'd like to move to the final question to you, Richard. And it is a very general question. I want to have an understanding from you. And from a global perspective, from a Weimar perspective, uh, where do you see post-harvest horticulture, post-harvest industry heading in few years? Please give a context, a bit of context about India as well.
Yeah, difficult question, but we'll have a go. So we are seeing a number of trends around the world that we're able to identify, and that's the consolidation of small scale farms into larger operations. So we're seeing a farmer buy the farm next door, and maybe the next one down, or farmers banding together to form companies and having shareholdings instead of necessarily running that farm themselves, or even cooperatives have become popular as well. And we're seeing then that those farms are a significant enough economic unit to invest in post-harvest technology for themselves and establish their own brand, as I spoke about a little bit earlier for India. We're also seeing organisations limiting their exposure to the risk of labour shortages. Obviously, with COVID situation, labour availability has been under North America and Europe. So farmers and operators are now wanting to reduce that risk by automating as much of their pack house as they can. And so we're seeing a huge trend for that, whether that be in the grading or the in-feed line or in the packing. Automation is becoming more and more prevalent, and that's something that people are investing in. Not just the equipment, but the processes around that and the quality control. So that's an important step we're seeing and a trend. I think we're going to see continued demand in horticulture. Vegetables are green. They are sustainable of energy and nutrients for people. I think that the pressures on are coming, and I think in India, I think half of India is already vegetarian. I think it's the world, so I think increasing demands for fruit and vegetables in the rest of the world are certainly picking up, and that's the trend line that we're seeing at the moment. For India specifically, I think that, as I alluded to before, that consolidation and that investment in more automation is going to be key. Although you don't have the pressures for the labour market, and I think the option to modernise and to be able to increase throughput will be a compelling business case for many farmers in India to increase their throughput and improve the quality of their produce.
Totally, I totally agree, Richard. You highlighted very nicely about three important global points. I believe they are very important for India as well. Cooperatives, definitely. Even in India, you'll find cooperatives happening. We have FPOs because, as we were discussing earlier as well, that we have smaller farms in India, and because maybe because now the second generation or the third generation of farmers are taking over, and there is always a division of land in a family, and due to that problem, of course, the lands are getting probably a farmer is getting smaller share, and that is why there is one challenge, and the challenge has been over. It's like even the government is kind of interfering and trying to open up more cooperatives, FPOs, and trying to give subsidies to FPOs to give a better solution. So nicely said that cooperatives are getting rather opening up, and of course it is happening globally as well. Labor shortage, of course. I mean, India does not have much problem about labor, but COVID, you have rightly highlighted, COVID has rather given this thought that, and especially in the minds of entrepreneurs, that this kind of scenario might happen. You never know, might happen again, and somebody has to bring in solution. Automation is, of course, one of the solution, and larger processors in India has already taken up automation. They're using artificial intelligence in automation, IoTs in automation, and it is really working well. It is really working well in India. So, I mean, great. And another thing which is coming up, of course, it is coming up globally nicely. Organic farming, and horticulture is kind of a very large kind of has a very large share in organic farming. So organic farming is also another solution, alternative to smaller farms. You get more kind of produce in a smaller space. And that is again one of the future, and I guess we will have better solution coming time for organic farming, and especially if there is a need of grading there or cleaning there, which I believe would be kind of a very different kind of scenario we have to understand then. But that is again a market which is opening up. So yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and for organic farming, I think a more natural look is probably preferred, and we've got a lot of farmers who will grade their carrots accordingly, and will take some carrots that are more suitable for polishing, and then they'll take a more organic look, a more natural look into those other farmers market style retailers. So it is, again, as I said at the start of this interview, understanding what the customer's trying to achieve, understanding what it is they're trying to deliver to their customers, to the consumers, and then we can build a solution around what it is that needs to happen. To have a very polished carrot for an organic producer is probably not the look that they'd like to go for. You know, having the tail of the carrot, that sort of thing, would probably be a better look. So it's all about marketing. It's all about making sure that you can put the very best of your produce in front of your customers.
Fantastic, fantastic. And that is what we also, and I mean, in tandem with Wyma, we are trying to strive right solution for a right challenge. Great,
Absolutely.
great. The kind of information, Richard, you have provided to our viewers, I would say, I mean, they're going to treasure it. I like to tell to my viewers, of course, there's, I mean, because Richard is speaking from New Zealand, so of course there is a kind of, a gap, and maybe we have seen a couple of connectivity problem, but of course, the kind of information what Richard has shared with us is fabulous. I like to thank you, Richard, for your time, for giving us your time, and there's this very, very fruitful information. And I'm sure that we are going to have such kind of sessions with Wyma in coming weeks also. And we like to go deep into machines. We like to understand a couple of special solutions which we have rather made for the clients. We'll have those kind of solutions in our next coming episodes, definitely. Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much once again.
That's great. I can't wait. And thanks very much for having me. Thanks very much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.